and welcome to our brand new podcast, When Harry Met Sally.
Woohoo!
I'm Harriet Tarbuck, and I'm here with Sally Brownbill.
Hello.
And we will be with you for the next 12 episodes, talking about all things photography with some of the greatest photographers and people within the industry in Australia. Hi, Sally.
Hi, it's so exciting to be here. How long have we talked about this?
I know, for so long.
I
It's
know,
great.
and we're finally here. We've had so much fun putting this together and thinking, who did we want to interview? And everybody's come to the party, and it's going to be a really exciting 12 weeks, I think, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think actually just building up to it, it's just been so lovely reaching out to all our industry friends.
Absolutely.
And just getting our kind of nearest and dearest industry friends involved. And yeah, like you said, everyone just said yes. So
Everyone just jumped at it and loved the name When Harry Met Sally. How could we
I
not
know.
love that?
So cheesy.
I'm
but
okay
that's
that your
kinda
name's
us.
first. Don't worry about that. I've come over that, so we can move on. And on that, why don't we let everybody know who we are? Because I think if they're going to be listening to us interviewing people over the next 12 episodes, they should know who the hell we are.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that Harry and I are really clear about with everybody that we're going to be meeting this week is we're going to be asking, why do we do it? Why do we do what we do? And I think that's such a hugely important question. So I'm going to kick it off with, who is Harriet Tarbuck and why do you do what you do? Let's go.
Well, I guess I'll start from the beginning in a way.
Great.
I have always had a passion for photography, always loved it. I had my first camera when I was 6 years old, always took photos, never really sort of super prolific in a professional way when I was sort of in my teenage and 20s. However, that's kind of got more and more as time's gone on. So just always loved photography, always loved being with people and hearing their stories. And I think photography was sort of a vessel for that.
You're such a people person.
Oh, such
I
a
can
people
relate
person.
to it.
We can talk the leg off a table, as Sally
We
says.
can. I'll stop cutting in.
No, I like it. It's great.
So did you study photography after school?
So I did. I took a gap year, and went to the UK. And
Is that where you get your posh accent from?
posh accent's sort of been there throughout my life. Half my family's English, half is Australian, and so it's always been a bit of a blend. But I went to the UK after high school and took a year off to travel and stay with my English family and just experience living in England again. And 9 years later, I decided to come back and start my career in photography. In the meantime, I did study in the UK. So I did a course over there, did my education, loved it, was in the darkroom the whole time. You know, digital was just coming in then, and it was really exciting. And of course, I, spurred that and was just spent the whole time in the darkroom, which was great.
Yep, like a bear in hibernation.
Totally.
Loved those days.
Not so much for when I got back to Australia and had to work commercially on set, but I learned on the job. But
it's such a good way to do it, isn't it? We're going to be talking a bit about that later on in one of the podcasts about learning on the job.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. Absolutely. I then, when I came back is when I really started in my photography career. So I was in my late 20s at that point, so a little bit later in life than some. But I started working at this studio called Decent Exposure, which was really my stepping stone into the whole industry, really. I was walked in there one day just off the street. Someone suggested that I go there, and I was sweeping floors and putting away polyboards and doing menial jobs around the place, thinking, oh, is this really what I want to be doing?
And it's probably where I first met you way back in those days.
Totally.
You know, at one of the Decent Exposure Christmas parties that they were famous for.
No doubt. No doubt.
I do remember you vaguely back then, this tall English girl wandering around the studio.
Asking what the hell everything was.
What am I doing here?
What am I doing?
I don't know. We
What's
don't know
going
what we're
on?
doing either. Fantastic. And so assisted lots of different people.
And so then this wonderful photographer, Mike Baker, he just said to me one day, he saw me sweeping the floor and said, what are you doing tomorrow? I need an assistant. And that was it. He said, after that first job, he said, you're green, but you're good and you can learn fast, and you're great with clients, and I can work with you. So he really picked me up and taught me so much. And from there, I just assisted all around Melbourne. I was assisting at studios. I worked at Daylight Studio, managed there, assisted photographers coming in from all over Australia. So really, cut my teeth learning on the job with assistants. Yeah.
Fantastic. And then what did you do?
And then what? Well, I guess I sort of transitioned to photography, so to actually shooting myself. So always, picking up little jobs along the way. And then there came a point about 5 years in where I was like, okay, I'm ready to
It's a long time
shoot.
to assist, 5 years, isn't it? And you sort of got to go. And sometimes you can become a professional assistant and there's nothing wrong with that. But then there's one point where you kind of walk in and you go, you know what, I could probably do this on my own now.
Yeah.
I'm ready to launch out.
And just have that more creative side of things, execute it creatively yourself.
And you've got to kind of draw a line in the sand too, don't you?
Totally.
And because otherwise I'll do that one more job assisting. I'll do, so you did
and
that.
I actually had a really good career assisting. I earned a lot of good money and more than I did when I first started shooting because I was busy all the time. So
but it's a growth thing, isn't it?
It is. And then, of course, you develop, once you're shooting all the time, that comes in then as well. Then I was been a full commercial photographer for 17 years now and, working in the industry, mainly sort of people-based work. I really like working. I've done all sorts, still life and product and, all sorts of things. But, I like it when the model talks back or the subject talks back. And
not inanimate objects.
Yes, exactly.
You could be photographing me.
Yeah. Oh, why
I'm not inanimate.
Should we do that?
Maybe. Why not? Can you talk and photograph at the same time?
I can multitask.
I bet you can. Oh, sorry, I just fell off my chair. That's okay. Fantastic. And so did you have your own studio or were you working out of home?
I worked out of lots of different studios. So I worked out of Daylight Studios. I was managing there for a while and worked out of there a little bit. I then worked out of Blue Tree Studios.
Oh, gosh, down in Port Melbourne.
Yeah. With Sav and Joe. So that was really lovely for a while. Then I got pregnant and had my child. So
the gorgeous Jack.
So things took a little bit of a sidestep, I would say. So I definitely moved back into home and was working from home and rearing my child.
Yeah. And also that's a really interesting conversation to have too, because I deal a lot with people who have those conversations and how do you do it? How do you multitask? And, one of the biggest things that we talk about is time management.
Totally. And it took a long time to figure out how to separate work and family. And, for so long I was, there'd be this 18-month crawling around and I'd be writing emails in the corner and I realised pretty quickly that was not sustainable.
But even now at 9, this morning you had to get him to childcare before school, before we got here and, it's an ongoing commitment and thing and love and
totally. And even for you at 20, with your daughter's 21.
Oh, she's 23 in a minute.
Oh my goodness!
It was a child bride. Yeah. So okay. So then you had Jack, and then
I had Jack, and then when I decided to kind of move back out of home. Work-wise, I moved into the Fox Darkroom and Gallery with Tom. So
that was a bloody ripper place.
It was just wonderful. Yeah, it was wonderful.
Such a cool building.
Yeah, it was a real time and place moment, and we dream about having something like that again. But one door closes, another door opens, and. So Tom is, I guess, to introduce him a little bit, is my business partner with Photo Collective. So in 2014, I always say we had our 3 babies. So Tom opened the Fox Darkroom and Gallery, I had Jack, and together we started Australian Photography Awards. And Australian Photography Awards still goes to this day. However,
I was at the very beginning of that. Will you remember when Tom and you came over?
I certainly do.
With your paper-clipped pieces of paper. To give me your proposal.
A little staple in the corner.
With a staple in the corner. And I went, wow, this sounds like it could be a good idea, you know? And wow.
Yeah.
How amazing the last 10 years has been.
What
a ride, hey?
What a ride. What a ride.
What a great human is Tom Goldner?
Oh, he's, the best.
Shout out for Tom Goldner.
Shout out to Tom.
Yeah.
He's the best. And, since then, Gussie's come on board as well, and he's amazing. And the three of us together run Photo Collective now. So we developed Australian Photography Awards into Photo Collective and do all sorts of things there. We run initiatives like award programs, a magazine. We run workshops, we run artist talks, exhibitions, and it's all to support the photography industry. We basically wanted to create a place where we provide opportunities for photographers. And I guess sort of where my practice is now is that I'm not although I have a commercial practice and I'm still working freelance, I actually, more than ever, I'm really loving working with other people's photography, mentoring them, creating kind of space for them to be able to kind of talk about their practices.
Yeah, which is so hugely important, especially for artists, isn't it?
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. And I guess all that has sort of led to now I'm teaching at Photography Studies College, and that's been a really wonderful kind of experience as well. I teach the bachelor students there. I teach them a business and mentoring class, the third years, which is really, really great, sort of getting them to really think about what their hopes and dreams for the future, their future careers are.
And they just love you down there. I know they do. They do.
I love them. That's great. And then I teach a first year's a folio class as well. So I get to see lots of imagery there. It's, I guess, where I'm at now is it's, although I still have a commercial practice and I still have a sort of personal practice really for me it's it's all about sort of mentoring and working with others to sort of realise their dreams. That's where I get a lot of satisfaction.
Yeah, fantastic. So, and are you getting a lot of time for your personal photography? For those, because it's not visual, there was this huge smile and an eye roll. So what's the answer? Come on.
The answer is it's at the bottom of the ladder. It always is. Unfortunately, I always say slow progress is still progress, but it is very slow at the moment.
Yeah,
and
but you know what? I'm cutting you off again. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Cut me off.
Do you know what? When you hear about what I do now, one of the things I talk about constantly with people is that you do what's right for you at this point in your life.
Yes.
Right? When Jack was born, things were different. Now he's at school, things are different. Photo Collective's getting busier. It ramps up towards the end of the year. And you can only fit a certain amount. It gets back to the time management thing, doesn't it?
Totally.
You can only fit a certain amount into each day and week. And people like you and I fit more than most.
Yeah.
But you've got to do it in a way that you keep your mind and your body healthy. Mm-hmm. And so that you've got the energy to be teaching or doing a podcast or taking your own imagery. So don't beat yourself up about it. That's what I'm going to say.
Thank you, Sally.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much. And so I think we need to hear that as
you
creatives.
Do. God,
because
you do.
There's so much pressure to be creating and be prolific and be making all this amazing work. And when you're working with these amazing artists that are just producing so much beautiful work all the time, you feel a bit inadequate. But I think you're right. And I think as time goes on, I've really just let myself kind of, not let it go as in ignoring it, but just saying now is maybe not the time for me and I'm going to invest in others.
Yep.
And at some point there will be space for that.
100% there will be, because you'll make it. And you just get to the point like when you're an assistant and you go, actually, I want to be a photographer now.
Yeah.
And it just happens. It's like a thing.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it happened to me and it continues to happen to me. And I go, right, I've got to do this. Bang.
So tell me what's happened to you.
God.
That's a good pivot.
Did you love that? I turned it onto myself.
Can we talk about me now?
Actually, it's a little bit about me now. That's great. Well, everyone's got to know Harriet now. So who we call Harri, obviously. The Harri went to Sally. All my life, I wanted to be a photographer. When I was I wasn't a particularly good student at school. In fact, I was very naughty. I went to a private girls' school and it just didn't work. Didn't work for any of us, to be honest. And I ended up at
That was actually the same with me.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Anyway, my mum, I went to the school my mother went to, it was one of those sorts of things. Anyway, I ended up doing my final year at school at a different school that had a dark room that nobody was using. And my art teacher said, why don't you try photography? And I did, and I was really good at it. And I had this gorgeous friend there who was an beautiful Indian girl, and I did an amazing portfolio of her. And she had all these gorgeous clothes and the teacher said to me, why don't you go and study photography? And I went, what? Is that a thing? And so that all came after I was asked to leave this private girls' school, and my mum said, don't worry, I'll get you a job as a dental nurse. And I'm going, dental nurse? Because Mum ran a dental agency. So I just went, no way. So I went home and I said, I'm going to be a photographer. And they were like, can you do that? Anyway, I went to the RMIT to the interviews, and it was really interesting because I remember going in there and everyone was showing their folios. There was hundreds of people lined up in those days to get in, and there was 30 places.
Oh, wow.
And I was looking at all these, kids' folios, a mature age student, and it was just such beautiful. It was way better than mine, right? It was beautiful. Anyway, I ended up getting in, so I was very fortunate to get in. And when I got in, none of those people were there. And all these years later, I know why, because it's never just about your photography. It's about who you are. It's about your hunger. It's about your fire in your belly. It's about not so much the end product, certainly when you're studying, it's about what you want to do with that end product. And they obviously saw something in me that I didn't even see, but it was a personality, it was a something.
That's sort of like exactly what I just said about Mike taking me on as an assistant.
Correct.
I knew nothing, but he knew that he could mould me
exactly.
in a way.
And it's something I talk about all the time now. And it's like people that go, I have these lenses and these cameras, and it's like, well, what do you do? What's your energy like? So I got in, I did my degree. It was the most incredible time, and I was with extraordinary people in that year level, people like Daniela Federici, who's in Hollywood now, and Tracy Rowe, who's a famous TV director, and Jeff Morefoot, who started the Ballarat Biennale, and Kim Tonelli and Heather Denis. I mean, it was an extraordinary year of just doers,
Amazing.
And at the end of that year, at the end of third year, a job had come in, and it was a job to photograph for a bus touring company going up and down the east coast of Australia with a bus touring company photographing German tourists on camping holidays.
Oh, wow.
So I went for the job and I got it, right?
Specifically,
never been on a bus tour, never camped, and couldn't speak German. Anyway, it was a great time. I realised I love people and I love travelling. And when I came back, Jeff Morefoot was assisting a photographer called Rick Wallace, and he had double booked himself. And he rang me and he goes, "You got to help me. I've double booked myself and I can't finish this job with Rick. Can you please do it?" And I was going, "Oh, really? I've just got back off a trip and I kind of want to just go to the beach." And he just said, "Please do it." So I went, yep. So I walked into Rick's studio and I never left. I was there for 2 years. And many, many years later at our wedding, Rick photographed it, and my dad, who's still alive today, he's 95, Dad said at the wedding all her life she wanted to be a photographer. And she went to RMIT and studied photography. Then she started working with Rick, who taught her a little about photography and a lot about life. And I've never forgotten that. And that is what this whole industry is about. It's a life-consuming, changing, extraordinary industry. It's not just a job. It never has been just a job. So after a couple of years, Rick said to me, "Right, you're ready to start shooting. You are still living at home with your parents and you need to go and travel, work out who you are and then come back. Go away for 6 months and come back." Well, a bit like you, I took off and I came home 6 years later. In that time, I decided I was already a photographer and I wanted to try new things, and I'd always loved film and television. So I worked at HTV West for an Australian guy who I didn't know at the time until I got there on the first day, and it was Rolf Harris.
Oh, very interesting.
Yes, at a TV station. Anyway, I didn't do anything glamorous other than answering fan mail, which was great, and I got to post a whole lot of stuff home. So that was really exciting. And then I moved to London and did a whole lot of odd jobs. One was I was a door bitch in a nightclub where I learned a lot about human nature and
behaviour
and had a really fun time. I worked a bit at Thames TV on the bill, doing anything.
Exciting.
Like at the exchange, I'd have to plug people in, to answer the phones. Nothing really creative, just being a general hand like you were at Decent Exposure. Yeah. I worked for a West End theatre producer and my job was to go to all of the plays and come back and report to him what the plays were like.
Oh, wow.
Can you even imagine that? But also to just do general admin and take costumes down and whatever I need, just a dog's body. But back in those days, Aussies were really loved in London and we were hard workers and I wasn't too proud to do anything. Change the toilet paper, I can do that.
Yes.
Yeah. And finally I came home. I travelled the world. I did a whole lot of stuff and I finally came home. spent a year driving around Australia, polished pearls in Broome for a season. I know. Became Australian again, got back to Melbourne. Rick said, right, you're going to start working for me again. And I did. And all of a sudden I just went, my God, I've had 6 years of all this experience. I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
So I went back to RMIT to have a conversation with them. And one of the lecturers there said, we'd like you to come in and teach. Right. So I said, okay. And he, at that time, I didn't know.
So you hadn't done teaching before that. They just offered you that.
They just offered because I could talk the leg off a chair. And he trained me in his subject, which was called professional communications, where we brought advertising students and photography students together. And my job was to go out into industry and bring briefs in that had been worked on for the students, you know, because everything we do in the commercial photography industry is about teamwork. Yeah. So we would brief the advertising students who would come up with a concept and an idea, who would brief the photography students, and then they would talk to us as the clients, and I would bring the agency in that had given us the brief, and then we would critique them. And after 3 or 4 years, Gus retired, and I took that subject on and then taught it for the next probably 12 years.
Wow, I didn't realise you were there for that long.
Yeah, a really long time.
Yeah, wow.
I did 2, and I fitted it in because during that time I was an agent for commercial photographers as well. Mike Baker.
Yes.
At that point, and a lot of the guys from Decent Exposure, like John Webb and Jim McFarlane and all of those guys and many more. And so I did that 3 days, and I taught 2 days. So I worked from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. all day on a Monday and a Thursday. So I did 3 classes back to back.
Wow.
So by like the 7th hour, I'm there going, blah, blah, blah. Have I said that already? You know? So when people said, how are you going to do a podcast in 3 days with Charles? I said, easy. Anyway, so did that. Then I started working with another lady called Vicky, who had a company called Ducks Creative Consultants, and she was an amazing woman who was doing what I was doing as an agent for photographers, but she had illustrators and art directors and copywriters, and what was coming in was digital artists. So I started to work with her and got into recruitment of creative people. And then I was able to see what creative people, now interestingly in the commercial world, photographers are photographers and art directors and creative directors and graphic designers are creatives. So I got to see what the creatives wanted in photographers, and all of a sudden I thought, man, we're doing folios wrong. This isn't, we are trying to guess what people want in folios. Yeah. And one thing I learnt way back then was you can't second guess what anybody wants to see. Yeah. Right? Because you don't know what clients they might be pitching on, or you don't know who they're already using and they want to see something different. So you've got to put into your portfolio what it is that you want to be doing and showing your own personality, which then leads on to websites, etc. Yes. So like you, I stopped and had a little girl. Mum was a little girl, Lily, who's now 23 and working in advertising now. So proud. And I stopped everything for a while. I kept teaching. And then I thought, oh, what am I going to do for a while? So I was surrounded by mums. So I started doing baby photography and pregnancy photography. And I did that for about a year until I just wanted to scream. And then design studios started ringing me and saying, what are you doing now? And I said, well, I'm teaching and I'm doing a little bit and being mum and loving it. And so I started doing new business in graphic design studios, where photographers would then come in to show their folios. And one guy came in once with this folio that had a moth stuck on it. The next page was held down with masking tape. I was just like, what the fuck?
This is how I present myself.
And I said, are you shitting me? I can't show anybody this. So he said, well, what would you do? And that was the beginning in 2002 of me redesigning portfolios. So, and I loved it. And he showed someone who showed someone. It became word of mouth. The designer then decided to create my logo, which was a mouth with red lipstick, because that's what I always have.
Sally.
Thank you. And on it goes. And I kept teaching for a long time. I got involved with the Photography Studies College as well, and Col Arts, and who, by the way, is our especially fabulous sponsor today. Yeah. We're going to talk more about Col Arts a bit later on with some of the students and lecturers.
Yes,
But we are sitting here at the Col Arts studios in Fitzroy in this fantastic room with Shaquille, who's over there doing the audio, and hopefully
one of the Col Arts students, which is just amazing for them to help us out here.
It has just been an extraordinary time. So I got involved with Col Arts, Deakin University, and so what I do these days, moving forward, at about the same time that you guys started the photo collective, I started the Brownbill Effect. So the Brownbill Effect now is made up of 4 separate areas. One is where I consult with photographers and other creatives at all stages of their careers. I help to redesign their websites or start new websites. I design portfolios, whether they're print or online portfolios, and I consult with people about their career trajectory. That's a hard word, and I got it. So it might be somebody recently just contacted me from New Zealand who's arrived in Australia and really wants to know about the Australian landscape and what it's like to quote here and what sort of work they should be putting into their body of work. And or it might be someone that's going from an assistant to a photographer, or it might be a designer that wants to take up photography, or it might be a photographer that's lost their way a bit, or somebody that wants to do a book and also commercial photography, or there's all sorts of ways and things that people just need a set of ears and eyes and support. I write CVs, I help them with anything that they need, really. So that's one part of my business. The other part of the business is where I write books and do a lot of guest lecturing. So I've written a book about how to start a career in photography and also to leap into your creative life. And currently I'm doing a calendar that will be free for next year with as a cross-promotion with Bambara Press, which is really exciting. I take on a Swinburne graphic design student each year to work with me on a project in the business and to also help me with all of my social media. And I'm an industry fellow at Swinburne University. So that is the Sally Brownbill side of the business.
Yeah.
The Brownbill Effect is 2 parts where we have the creative directory. So that is for anybody that has their own business that wants a platform to show their work on as an additional marketing tool to what they already have. And so I can put that out through social media and newsletters. And I have the assistant register, which is going to be really important for listeners here as well. So as photographers, you can go to the assistant register to work with the assistants that have all been vetted by me from all the different universities around Australia. And there's some great people there all the time looking for great work. But if you're a young person wanting to start out, if you're a current student, or if you are somebody out there on your own that wants to get some assisting work like Harri started out, you can get your name on there. Nothing costs a fortune. It's $250 a year for either a directory listing or an assistant listing, because it's just about everybody helping each other. And for me...
Yeah, bringing that community together.
Together and helping everybody be the best they can be.
Oh,
that's what it's about,
Yeah.
And my light bulb moment was not wanting to be a photographer was huge. A bit like yours, wanting to be a photographer.
So are you shooting anything at all at the moment?
I shoot a lot on my iPhone. Am I allowed to say that? I've just said it.
Yeah, of course.
I shoot a lot on my iPhone. And at Christmas time, sometimes I do portraits.
Yeah.
But I made a decision, I think, during my time as an agent, and even now there's been a lot of photographers that have set up agencies and they've been a photographer themselves.
Yep.
And it didn't ever sit right with me.
Yeah.
I had to make a decision.
There's a bit of a split intention maybe.
Absolutely. And I sort of had to make a decision. I was going to help others with my knowledge. And as you know, we are always learning. We are always learning. I mean, I had a time when I'm going to say it was probably the late 90s when a guy called Nadish Naoroji came out from India with the first digital camera, and he had a studio at the back of Caulfield Racecourse that was old stables, and he'd bought this camera in. It was huge. It was the size of a room.
Wow.
And my job was to go and bring people from the industry, photographers and creative directors and designers, to come in and say, this is the future of photography. And they'd be there going, oh, no, well, we do fashion, or we're on planes all the time. We couldn't do anything like this. And he was there in the late 90s, which is not that long ago, saying these are going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. These will be handheld within the next few years. So I was right there at that pivotal stage.
That's so exciting.
And convincing, because so much of the commercial world, as you can see, Harri is a lot more creative focused, whereas I'm a lot more commercial focused, which I think is a really nice combination for the two of us.
Definitely.
To be doing this podcast.
Yeah.
But you could really see with the commercial world, so much of what we do is education of clients.
Yeah.
It's making them feel confident and comfortable. So if I ring somebody up and say, hey, I want you to shoot this, do you think you can do it? And someone goes, oh, look, yeah. I'll go, okay, bye. And then I'll go, Harri, I've got this job, do you think you can shoot? And you go, absolutely. Now tell me a little bit more about it. Yep, I'll need a stylist. I've got a studio. And that's what we need. We need confidence.
Even if you're not feeling it 100%, you just got to put that out there.
You can hang up and then sort of go,
and then go,
what am I going to do? Yeah.
And that's what everyone does as well.
Absolutely.
There's no, like for the people out there that are listening that are kind of maybe new in the industry or just starting out, I think, we look at these kind of pinnacles of people that have been doing this for decades and we think, oh, they've got it all together.
Yeah,
but actually,
so
everyone's sitting there, behind a desk trying to figure out how to make it work.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what's going to be so exciting about this podcast, because we're going to be listening to a whole bunch of people coming in at different stages of their careers.
Absolutely. We've got commercial artists. We've got people that do commercial and art at the same time. We've got people that are making books. We've got festival directors, a festival director.
And we're going to speak to some students as well and
Yeah.
just see
What do
they want? Why are they studying photography now, where in this day and age, and how do they see the future of photography going?
Yeah. Hang on. And what about this? What a great ending to this sort of first episode.
Mm-hmm.
So, Harriet, why do you do what you do?
Why do you do what you do?
Yeah.
So this is like the basis of what we're going to be talking about during this season, I think. We're
first.
really sort of fascinated by, this day and age and, this changing industry we're in, and why do we do what we do? And I think for me, it boils down to connecting with people and hearing their stories. So my work is very much sort of documentary-based, story-based. I just want to hear about how other people see life. And so for me, and I guess that's where the mentoring side of things has come in, and where I'm working with Photo Collective as well, is that I'm just really fascinated by not just the sitters that are in front of the camera and hearing their stories, but actually the creatives and knowing why they're doing what they're doing. So really for me, why I do what I do is because I want to know why you do what you do.
Right.
So, Sally, right back at you. What do you do?
Okay, why do I do what I do? I love the freedom that it gives me. I love working with people. I love making people feel the best that they can be, a bit like you, and nothing really shocks me. I've been around so long that nothing really shocks me, and I love helping them make sense of what they think is a bit of a mess, and mostly it's not. It's just like helping them clear the cobwebs.
Yeah.
And I find that hugely exciting, but it also gives me the freedom to be creative in different ways. Like a year ago, I've started a pottery. So I do that sometimes, and I can get out and about, and I can go into advertising agencies, and I can go into universities, and I can sit with somebody and design their folio or help them put a book together. And I go to exhibition openings. And so not being 9 to 5 is hugely important to me. Being creative, it's important. I'm a creative helping creatives. And so for me, hence the books and all of the other things that I do makes me a better person to allow me to help people, because I'm happy in I've got a beautiful family, and I'm a really good time manager. And so why do I do what I do? Because it makes me really happy, and I want to bounce out of bed every day.
Yeah, lovely. That's
about
so
that?
nice. That's so nice. And I love just a few things you were touching on there, is it's like reminding me about this sense of like collaboration that I think we both have. You with the Brownbill Effect, me with Photo Collective, that is working with different creatives and bringing people together and people really working together. And I think, our next episode is going to be with Aisha Kenton and Sean Davey, and they're this amazing collaborative couple, both in love and life and work. And I can't wait to kind of hear what they have got to say about collaborating in this beautiful industry we're in.
And again, that's such a wonderful starting point for us as well, because I think what I touched on earlier on was we are never on our own in this industry, and for the two of them to be working collaboratively on all of their projects it's not unusual, but it is unique.
Yes, it is.
And 30 years ago, it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was happening a little bit earlier on, but I'm
this is
really
where photography's moving.
excited about meeting these
too.
guys. I know you know them really well.
And I'm so excited to be collaborating with you, Sally, on this.
Look at us. It started over a chai latte in a cafe in Hawthorne.
Totally.
We sat there and, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to do a podcast.
Let's do it.
So do you know what I love about working with you is we are just get on with it. We are the tick where let's do it and just do it. Stop talking about it, just do it.
Yeah.
And that's so important in this industry, you know.
Yeah.
And we make mistakes, and
But
yes,
so does everyone.
but that's part of it all.
Yeah,
you know.
let's all fuck up and keep going.
Absolutely. You just said fuck. See?
Sorry, am I supposed to say that?
I don't think you're allowed to say fuck, but that's all right. But I'm really excited, and I think it's probably a good time to end our first
wrap
episode.
up our first episode.
Look at us, we've done it.
Thank you all so much for listening, and just another shout out to Collarts. Thank you so much for providing these beautiful podcast booths that we're in, and the support for recording it.
It would be nice if it was a bit warmer. That's all I'm going to say. I'm a little bit cold. I'm going to bring a wheat bag tomorrow.
All right. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. Hopefully we'll hear from you next week.
No, they'll be hearing from us next week. We've got to get a better sign off than that. Okay,
so
I'm going to say it now.
Let's try that again.
When Harry Met Sally is finishing the first episode, it's been lovely talking to you. Bye.
Bye-bye.